What's going on to all my gamers and gamers? This your boy Kano, the brutally honest gamer, and I'm back with another video. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's talk about it, right? So there's been a lot of major news going on that's hitting the fan. You hear me? So let's go ahead and start off like this. Sony is basically trying to block the attempt of making this Activision Blizzard deal go through because the game of Call of Duty. Now, personally, for me, I'm not a Call of Duty fan. I'm like a Modern Warfare fan of Call of Duty, but other than that, I really don't care about Call of Duty all that much. So basically, Sony is basically trying to block the acquisition deal to go through based off the fact that Sony has marketing rights for Call of Duty, and they basically feel like that Call of Duty being on Microsoft per se is going to block their chances of having people to play Call of Duty on PlayStation, more so of the game people going to gravitate it to be more so towards Microsoft with this acquisition deal. But this is basically my thoughts about it. I don't care for fanboyism. I don't care for none of this. I don't care for the console war stuff. I just play games to have fun. But let's go ahead and dive in a little bit more, right? And the links will be in the description below. I'm not going to put the article pieces up. Y'all can go ahead and check it out with the links in the description. So my opinion is basically this. Sony called out Microsoft about the acquisition, but Microsoft actually shot back about the stuff that Sony has done, and it's just basically a can of worms that's just basically been opened up about Sony and its past. Because if you think about it, if you look at games on the PlayStation 1 like Tomb Raider, Brave Fencer Musashi, they had these third-party deals where it wasn't on the Sega Saturn or the N64. It was only on PlayStation. They've been doing this since the PlayStation 1 days. If you look at what's going on right now, fast forward to now, you basically can see that they have a lot of third-party deals going on for the PS5, and Sony's actually wasting their money on these time deals for like Final Fantasy VII, the remake. That actually should have been on Xbox about a year after its release, and to this day, we still have yet to see Final Fantasy VII, the remake, on the Xbox. And I'm going to go back to it again. Like Final Fantasy VII, the old version of it that was on PlayStation 1, you know, they had a deal on that. It wasn't available to go on to the Sega Saturn or the Nintendo 64. So when you think about it, they've been doing this for a long time when it comes to third-party titles. So Sony has no right to try to criticize what Microsoft is doing because they've been doing this for years. And Microsoft already said that when it comes to Call of Duty, they want to keep it multiplayer because it's not profitable for them when it comes to Call of Duty. They want to make their money all around the border. And if you look at the licensing agreement for MLB, the game hasn't been selling well on PlayStation, so they decided to make the game go multiplayer. Now they're making a lot of money all around the border. So when you look at Sony been doing all this bull crap for years. Since the early mid-90s. You feel me? With the PlayStation 1 with the third-party titles. And they did this just with Forspoken already. They did this with Ghostwire Tokyo. They did this with, what's the other game? Deathloop. So Sony's been doing this for years, so they have no room to even talk about Microsoft when it comes to Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty, they saying it's a blockbuster title. Yeah, as far as the name of Call of Duty, yes, it's been around for years, for decades. You feel me? Like early 2000s length of time when it comes to Call of Duty. Yes, it still has a strong fan base, a loyal following. You feel me? But the game is going to remain multiplayer all around the border. For them to basically block the whole ordeal, and I'm going to say more of it on the Gamer Section podcast though. But the way that they're going about it is they basically just trying their hardest to block this acquisition from happening. But you also know that Microsoft is basically bolstering up the Game Pass module. So Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass once this acquisition deal is in place. And the problem with Sony is that they've been behind when it comes to the subscription services, and they don't want to do that. They basically want to continue to charge the Call of Duty games on PlayStation. That's $70 plus $5. That's either $75 or $70 plus $8. That's $8 extra because of the tax. You feel me? So when you look at it, when it comes down to it, Sony basically has some shady business practices, and these documents that was actually showed up on Video Game Chronicles and other websites, it just basically put Sony in a negative light, and they deserve that because of how anti-consumerist they are. And people don't have $70, $80 to pay all these games, and Game Pass is the best way to go. And the way they have the subscription service now, they should go ahead and bolster up with the subscription service. You feel what I'm saying? So when you look at it right now, and stating what I'm seeing right now, and the facts of all this, Sony is in the wrong. You feel me? Sony is definitely in the wrong of the situation. You feel me? Because it just goes to show that they have a contract in place. Like if you look at Resident Evil Village, let me give you an example. Resident Evil Village, that game right there had marketing rights, I believe, for Sony. But in the contract, it states that they have to wait about a year or so, or if not at all, for them to make the game go on Game Pass. You feel me? And that's been like that to a lot of games for them, for like other developers to have their games go on the PlayStation. They have to sign a contract whereas some of the games don't go on Game Pass for a certain amount of time. Because if you look at it, Game Pass is really a great idea for a subscription service for people that really can't afford them high quality priced games. And by the way that Sony is doing it is very wrong on them, because they charging $70, $10 extra, and down the road Microsoft might do the same thing. It's nothing surprising about that, but they might. Like I said, when you look at Sony, they're charging $70 more. Not $70, $10 more. I'm sorry, than what Microsoft is charging with the Game Pass service, as far as like games individually without Game Pass. You feel me? Because if you look at their exclusives right now with Sony, they have Horizon Forbidden West, that was $70. Returnal, $70. The new God of War Ragnarok, $70. And if you got a PS4 they want to revert to PS5, you have to pay $10 or $20 extra for the upgrades, whereas Microsoft has smart delivery, so the upgrades is for free. You feel me? So right now with this whole Sony's basically trying to block a lot of these games from going on to Game Pass. It just goes to show that Sony's got the old school mentality of trying to make exclusives, and I got another video about that. I won't dive deep and more in depth about this, but it's just basically wrong, man, for what Sony is doing. And I said this in the video multiple times, but it's just definitely wrong, man. Because Sony, honestly, with Sony, you can't block the developers for creating games for Game Pass. People are going to gravitate to Game Pass. What Sony really needs to do is really, get their money right. Stop spending all of their money on third-party exclusives. Open up more studios and bring back first-party titles. You feel me? That everybody loves near and dear, instead of focusing on those same type of titles that we're going to get year in, year out. There's another video coming for that. I'm going to talk more in depth about that, but that's all I really got to say about it, man. Let me know y'all thoughts about this. You heard me. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the post notification bell when I drop these videos. You know what I'm talking about? Let's get it. Let's go. I'm out. Peace.